Hi guys, I'm going to be showing you how to make your own Blackout poem digitally on Notability using your iPad. So you're in the right place. You're watching this video for number one. And for number two, it says you're going to try one out on your own and choose a page from one of the following digital books to screenshot and add into Notability. So remember, a Blackout poem is all about taking a page of text from a book usually and only circling and choosing certain words to use to create a brand new story, a brand new poem, and you black out all the other words on the page that aren't a part of it. So we have Freak the Mighty, Alice in Wonderland, Harry Potter, Wizard of Oz. All of these are digital books. So if you click on it, it'll bring you to a spot where it lets you open the link. So I actually already made one and I used Alice in Wonderland. So I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate with that book. So here is my digital book. I am going to scroll through the beginning pages because we just have like copywriting and table of contents on there. And then you kind of can go through and just scan the pages really quickly and pick one that you kind of feel like there's words in it that maybe pop out to you. Like right away, this orange marmalade that pops out to me. I think I could maybe write a fun poem using that one. But I ended up scrolling down and this page stood out to me, I think because it said like tears, and I saw words like poor and I thought I could write a poem kind of about like crying or being sad. I know, real depressing, but that's just how I was feeling that day. So anyway, so you're going to go ahead and screenshot that page, and then you're going to head over to your Notability app. Oops, sorry, that is not Notability. You're going to head over to your Notability app and open a new note. This was the finished final poem that I created using that page of text, but I'm going to go ahead and show you how I did that. So in your note, you're going to click the plus sign in the top right corner. You're going to click Photo Library, and then you're going to insert that screenshot you just took. So I'm going to click on it, insert one photo, and I'm going to make it bigger so it's easy to work on. And we are all set. Okay, you now have the page you're going to be working on. And the next part you're going to do, you're going to be scanning through it and circling or putting a box around any words on the page that maybe inspire you, stand out to you, or maybe you just like those words. Okay, so don't think too hard about it. This first part is just circling whatever you like and whatever you feel like you could possibly work with. So when I did it, I went through and make sure you choose kind of like a small pencil point so you can do a thin line around it. But I know I circled words like tears, poor, I cry, ashamed. I know in this kind of middle paragraph here, I really liked some of the phrases, shedding gallons. I thought about like someone crying a lot, and it's kind of what you're doing there. Large pool. A pool is deep, so those kind of all connected. I liked those words. And then at the bottom, I circled the word O. I liked that one because it had an exclamation point and some other punctuation in it. The word savage stood out to me because 7th graders always say that word, so I was like, oh, maybe I could work that into a poem somehow. And I know like felt is a word that goes along with maybe crying and kind of feeling sad, so I circled that too. And then what you can do is go through and read those words top to bottom, left to right, because that is how your Blackout poem will be read. And you can see kind of just how it sounds and which words you need to get rid of to fix the flow of it, and maybe which words you feel like you need to add to kind of move the story along a little bit. So it doesn't have to be, complete sentences that make sense necessarily, but you do want all the words to have some kind of flow or rhythm to them in a way that all poems do. So I went through, I read it. Tears pour, I cry, ashamed, shedding gallons, large pool deep. Oh, savage felt. Okay, and I went through it. I ended up getting rid of certain words. I got rid of the word tears. I got rid of the word ashamed. And again, it was just because, I wanted to do that. I felt like I didn't want those in my poem anymore. I know I went back and I added some other words. I added the word hopeless. I liked that. And then at the bottom, oh, savage felt. I feel like I needed another word in there. So I looked kind of a little closer at those bottom lines, and I ended up selecting the word she. So these are all the words I ended up including in my poem. Poor I, hopeless cry, shedding gallons, large pool deep. Oh, savage felt she. Okay, so those are the words I ended up using, and the message I was kind of thinking of when I was creating this poem. I was thinking about times maybe when I was upset or sad or feeling anxious, and like the only way I could let out my emotions was to cry. And then I know sometimes, when I do get upset, I end up feeling like silly or ashamed that I'm upset about a certain little thing like that. But that's okay. And that's kind of how I was getting these emotions out by creating a poem like this. So then the next part is fun. You get to black out all the other words on this page so that only these words you chose are visible. And I ended up using the black highlighter because I kind of liked how the colors overlapped. And I'm just going to go through and I am going to black out all those other words that aren't a part of my new poem. So I'm just kind of going over them enough so that these words are covered and don't distract me from the words I have circled. And you don't have to use black if you don't want to. You can choose to do a different color and kind of like spice it up a little bit. You can kind of go over the black like that if you want. I'm not going to go and do the rest of this because I'll show you my finished Blackout poem in a second. But then the next thing I did, I got rid of these little circles that I made. Those were just there so I could, and if that happens, you might need to go in and do the partial eraser, and that's okay. You just need to, play around with it. It's supposed to be fun. And it definitely was fun for me making this and, pretty therapeutic and relaxing. And, Blackout poems, they're pretty abstract, so it doesn't have to be perfect. But yeah, I just kind of got rid of those things. They would stood out. But then what I ended up having was this finished product after I blacked everything out. And then I did go in and add a illustration to go with it. I thought it would make sense to put an eye in there. So what I did is I actually went to Google Images, and I found a picture of an eye. This is the one I used here. I put that in here. I traced the picture, and then I deleted that Google image behind it. So I was just left with this tracing of the illustration. And then you guys are pretty tech savvy on Notability, so you know kind of how to move pictures or move them up. You just take this little cutting thing. It's going to take everything with it, but you can just drag stuff around. So I kind of created the illustration in a blank part, and then I, selected it and moved it up here and colored it in. Okay, and so this is my final product of my Blackout poem, and I'll read it to you. Poor I, hopeless cry, shedding a large pool deep. Oh, savage felt she. Okay, so this is how I created a Blackout poem from an original page of text, and yeah, it was a lot of fun to do, and it's cool to get creative with it. And the fun thing about Blackout poetry is the reader of it might connect to it in a different way and kind of interpret it in a different way, and that's okay. That's what poetry is all about. So I hope you guys have fun with this, and remember, it's all up to you. You get to decide what words you want to keep, what words you want to get rid of, and yeah, and then hopefully your story or what you're trying to create will come through with those certain words you select. Okay, have fun and good luck.